You like this heron? His name's Fred. Change of scenery. Sometimes you do that in life. What's your scenery look like where you are right now? Hopefully it has something like a Fred. Hi. Welcome to Boy Meets Beans. I'm Jacob, the boy, here are the beans. Thank you for watching the last video that I did. Received a lot of great feedback, none of which is probably going to be in this video because I am my own man and there has been too little time between that video and this video for me to really take any of it into consideration. But it's okay, we're developing a community here. Hopefully, a community of people who drink good coffee. Last week... Oh, no. Bad coffee. We don't talk about that coffee. It was disgusting. Today, we might actually have something good on our hands. Because I went and I found some Melitta. Now, Melitta, as a name, is prominently known for their filter papers. They look like this. This is the Melitta cone, developed by a woman in Germany named Melitta Benz in 1908. Most coffee prior to 1908 and in the late 1860s into the early 1900s was brewed without filters at all. You know, they would take some beans, grind them, put them in some water, let the water boil, scrape off the beans, drink the dirty bean water. Most of the time, you still had a lot of solid matter in the coffee, and it wasn't a very pleasant experience. Now, metal filters, like you would find in a French press or a percolator, they do a good job of getting out the big stuff, but you're still left with a lot of oils from the coffee and some of that less soluble material. The result is a textured cup of coffee, which some people really like. You know, I've enjoy a good French press every now and again, but it's not for everyone. Some people want a really clean cup, and how do you get a clean cup? Well, that's what Miss Melitta, banana fan of Melitta, she decided to take care of that in 1908. She grabbed some blotting paper. Blotting paper normally used to remove like oils from things, like my face, and put it in the bottom of her percolator, and the result was a very clean cup of coffee. In fact, on the back of this can, it has a little biography of the company, which says exactly what I just said. Filled the cup of ground coffee, poured in hot water, creating the first, this is where they claim, this is the first pour-over filtration system for coffee. Patented in 1930 in the Weimar Republic, and they've been around for about 100 years. So, you know, this is something that you see in, I would say, 50 to 60% of most automatic drip coffee makers are going to use a cone-style filter, as opposed to the basket. That being said, they also make their own coffee. This is their classic blend, medium roast, $3.99 at the grocery store that I was at for about 11 ounces of coffee. Do the math for how much that is per cup. It's extra fine ground coffee, and it's their signature blend. Rich and velvety smooth, never bitter. That's a bold claim, Melitta. Can't wait to see how that turns out for you. 100% coffee, that's good, thank God. We'll get to coffee with chicory in another video. That's a whole different saga to get into. No sort of description of where the coffee comes from. I do know Melitta sells sort of single origin coffees online. I didn't see any of that where I was. If I ever find it, maybe I'll review it. This is their standard. The flavor of Europe in every cup. That's what it says here. What's Europe taste like? Your guess is as good as mine, but we're gonna find out together. Since this was designed originally as a company to make pour-overs, though, I thought we'd do a little fun side-by-side. I have our friend, our good boy, Mr. Reliable. What's your name? Old Reliable, nasty boy. There's a hair in it. Steamy Release. Leave a comment down below. What are we naming this piece of garbage? Let me know. We're gonna compare it to a pour-over. I have a carafe designed to fit the Melitta cone, so we're going to do a quick comparison of the two. It won't be a blind taste test, but an entry-level pour-over that uses a Melitta cone runs about the same price as a machine like this. So if you have access to hot water and the ability to pour it in, maybe, if the results are good enough, this will be a great alternative for you to change up your morning routine a little bit. Okay, so I've rearranged the set a little bit. We have our wonderful, old, reliable beast over here. We're gonna follow the instructions from the can on how to brew this. We also have the pour-over in frame as well. For this, you see I have a scale. I'm gonna be using kind of a modified version of James Hoffman's V60 pour-over technique. You may hear the kettle in the background. Sometimes you gotta make water hot. This thing's gonna get loud as crap in a minute. It's fine, we live our lives. I'll put the link to the pour over video in the description. It's kind of how I've been brewing pour overs for about the past year and a half. I've been very impressed with the results. Maybe you will too. We're gonna do about 15 grams of coffee in for about 250 grams of brewed coffee out. And then we'll just follow this per instructions, which are use 2 level teaspoons for 6 ounces of cold water. So we'll put about 12 of these for 6 cups. That's the look of freshness. That's the sound of freshness. That is not extra fine. Melitta, I know you're still owned by your family. I don't know where this looks like extra fine grind. You gotta, honey, what are you doing? No, it's a little toasty. For a medium roast, it's a little stronger than I was expecting. This will be interesting to see. Never bitter. Okay, let's get the ball rolling. Then we will weigh out our 15 grams. Actually, first, we're gonna wet the paper. Pour over tip, always wet your filter before you do it because it gets rid of that nasty papery taste, which they never tell you to do in any auto drip coffee maker. And we're not doing it for this either because we're following instructions. But pro tip, wet your paper. You're gonna start hearing this thing do its thing. All right, 15 grams into this. Water's boiling. Make a little well. And get some coffee going. 30 grams. Give it a swirl. Sit for a second. You can hear it spitting. See how this looks like? Oh, doesn't that look great? Doesn't it look great? Finish this off here. Pull the scales out. That's hot. Don't touch hot glass. It's hot. It's very hot. I can't stop staring at it. It's like a car crash. You know, sometimes you just can't look away. Oh, it's a disaster in here. Ugh, icky goo. Okay, so we have our coffees. Steamy release. So we have our Melitta pour over. Get that in the cup. Good color on that. About 250 mils out, not bad. And then we have this. We have our 2 cups. How are they going to taste? I guess we should start with this one first. Smells like Europe. Oh, it's burnt. It's very burnt. I will say it's not as bitter as I was expecting it to be. That doesn't mean it's not bitter though. Part of that could be the way it was extracted out of this brewer. You know, this thing did go through its cycle pretty quick. Who's to say if that had anything to do with it or not? It doesn't smell that great. It smells like nothing really. It's a little acidic, a little sour. Normally you get that when you under extract a little bit of coffee, so that's to be expected. I'm gonna get some water to cleanse the palate. Okay, I'm back. And now we'll do the pour over out of my beautiful, beautiful mug. Got a monkey on it. It's mellower. So you get, it's not as acidic for sure. It's a little more balanced in terms of the note. Part of that could be the fact that this didn't have a hot plate. You know, just poured it into the carafe, so it didn't sit. It doesn't have that sort of burnt quality to it, which I could have avoided by just taking this off the plate when it was done, but like that's kind of not how this whole review system's supposed to work. We're supposed to do it the way everybody does it, and it's not that great. This isn't bad though. It doesn't have a lot in terms of flavor, but the texture of the cup is really good. It's very smooth, definitely a little more nuanced when it comes to the taste. This one, on the other hand, it hits you. It hits you a lot harder, which again comes from the fact that this was under extracted. There's a little more acidity to it, and not in the good kind of acidity, like a fruit kind of acidity, but literally like acid in the mouth. You ever have acid in your mouth? Again, this is not a very blind sort of taste test to tell you which one I think is better. It's pretty obvious which one I think is better. It's this one. I think that's kind of the whole point. This particular pour over, you know, carafe with the filter, and all that costs about $20 USD. The automatic coffee maker costs roughly the same price, maybe a little bit more. The convenience factor of this, I totally get. You have to boil water to get this a little more accurate. I used a scale because I had one on hand. You could obviously just pour it into your cup and top it off however you would like. I don't know what to tell you. Make your coffee your way you want. That's the whole point of this. I'm not here to judge you, except I am a little bit judging you, but that's okay. What I can tell you is that there are alternatives to this that are a little bit better in terms of price. As for the coffee, it's not great. It's not terrible. I think it really, again, comes down to the fact that it just got really under-extracted and was very, very acidic. When I drank it out of the pour-over, it wasn't bad. It wasn't extremely flavorful, but it was a decent cup of coffee. I would drink it in a diner. You know, I think ultimately, Melitta does a lot of things other than the filters. They've kind of evolved. They have their own actual coffee makers now. They came out with an automatic pour-over system, which uses like a little robot thingy that spins like this and spits water out at certain times. It's very expensive. I don't have it. They're definitely branching out. They've been around for 100 years. That's cool. Their namesake. The filter paper. I think it's very important to coffee history. We like filter coffee. Filter coffee exists because, supposedly, from this company. And that's very, very cool. So, this sip of this kind of okay, made better coffee is for Miss Melitta. It's not terrible. If you have had this particular brand of coffee, let me know what you think about it in the comments. If you like what you see, hit the necessary buttons down there. I don't know what they are. Subscribe. I think there's a bell. This is going to be kind of a once a week thing. If you like it, thanks for hanging out. Let me know what coffees you want me to try. I know some people recommended some coffee shops to me. That is a very good idea. However, it's important to note that we are still, where I am, under a pretty strict don't go places if you have to policy. So, you know, be safe, live your life. Drink good coffee. Don't drink bad coffee. And have a good day wherever you exist in the world. Goodbye.